Alors, on va maintenant assister à une
We are now going to
la projection d'un
watch
court-métrage
a video
réalisé par l'artiste Marcel
by
MREJEN,
Marcel MREJEN,
qui s'appelle Memories of an Unborn
which is
Sun.
entitled Memories of an Unborn Sun. It's a short film.
Le court-métrage est en anglais,
This video is in English,
non anglophone.
so I hope that it will be okay for non-English speakers.
Je vous propose que l'on regarde
I suggest that we
le court-métrage en accord
watch
avec le
this
réalisateur, et puis après,
short film
on prendra les questions
with
de
the
la salle,
agreement of
de la
the
même
director,
façon que
and
pour
then
les
we
présentations,
will
pour
listen to your
échanger avec
questions in the room,
réalisateur
just
qui est
like with
avec
other
nous.
presentations,
Voilà.
because the director is in the room. So, thank you. Enjoy the film.
现在我们这个单位呢，就是7点钟就上班。我一般的都是5点半左右就起来刷牙、洗脸、活动。洗漱就是6点半我就开始吃饭，吃完饭以后我们就上班，准时上班。
不是舒服，在外，我们不是讲舒服，但是我们能够根据这个生活条件，我们能适应。
Thank you. Thank you. Could you explain how the movie started? It started with a rumor in Algeria in the media? Yes. Originally, we wanted the movie to only talk about the neo-colonial exploitation of Algeria by China, which then was expanded with the testimony of Chinese workers in Algeria. We wanted it to be a documentary talking about this workforce that is exiled and the relationship between Chinese workers in a country where they have no cultural reference, and how workers and a collective memory can disappear in this huge mechanism that is energy extraction and global geopolitics. And I slowly discovered relationships or links that I wanted to echo: the use of the Algerian territory by France, and I wanted to include those colonial archives that show the operations from France that happened after the independence. And it was important for me to use propaganda videos showing a Eurocentric perspective of the nuclear tests and have a spiraled timeline to compare this exploitation of a territory being by using energy or producing energy through this dystopia showing solar farms from China in Algeria. And the only way for me to relate those different issues together is what I was interested in, which was to use rumors. Those testimonies are real-life testimonies, but some of them were also added in order to transfer this present situation into a theoretical future, referring to this concept of a second sun, which is not so far from us and relates to potential exploitations of the African continent from American, Chinese, or European companies using colonialized lands in order to develop new renewable energy systems to benefit the companies who develop it. More specifically, here I'm talking about China because it has great influence on the African continent. But this concept of a second sun came from a fake tweet that went viral last year, showcasing the first scene in the video, a huge light sphere lighting up the sky, which was imagined as an artificial sun from the Chinese government. So I was interested in this relationship between the military archives that were classified for long, discussions I've had with people in Algeria, and fake tweets that circulate on the internet. Thank you for the clarification.
Oui, et donc du coup, les images, en fait, toutes les images
So
qui sont montrées
all
sont
the
des
footage
images,
shown,
les images d'archives sont
or
des images
archives at
réelles.
least, are real-life archives. They were not
Et les images aussi
modified.
d'installation qui ont l'air
And also the
d'être
installation
obsolètes.
footage
Elles sont aussi,
that may
des
be
images
obsolete
qui
are also real-life videos? No, some of them are. The entire movie plays with this frontier between reality and fiction, and what I wanted was to have a mix where you cannot really detect the difference. A large part of the installations are real in the movie. Some of them were also added through CGI. But just like for testimonies, maybe 80% of testimonies are real-life testimonies from Chinese workers collected last year, and 20% were scripted. And they're here to blurry the frontier between real life and imaginary. How about collecting the testimonies? Was it easy? Was it difficult? Were they fully open? No, it was very difficult, just like anything in Algeria. But of course, these are Chinese companies that are mandated by the Algerian government. The workers live completely away from society, and they get strict instructions not to mix with others, etc. Of course, we struggled before we could find workers who would agree to answer our questions, and as you can see in the interviews, it's quite a closed dialogue, or at least their liberty to speak is under control. It's always very broad, not very precise. And the movie happened in a very empirical manner. We faced a lot of obstacles, of course, and it slowly gave me the will to change the reality and to use those testimonies that were almost a description. They often talk about the project, but they cannot really talk in further detail of what the project is about. And I decided to use those blurred lines in order to then integrate the fiction into the movie. There was a question about a more political or activist aspect. Is there a part in the movie on the exploitation of racialized people and a parallel with colonized territories? Was this an aspect? Yes, of course. The movie is about this, for sure, but the most telling part might be the last part. It's a Tuareg poet, Hawad, who wrote a lot about the French colonial exploitation, and more specifically, the fragmentation of the South Sahara, and the way extractivism and the energy exploitation in Algeria redefined nomadism of Tuareg populations and break this freedom or this culture that was present before. And in his poem that he reads at the end of the movie, he talks about the nuclear tests from France and their impacts on the Algerian territory. You should know that lots of Tuaregs were also used during those tests, during the tests, to extract energy from the Algerian soil. And in his poem that he reads at the end of the movie, he talks about the nuclear tests from France and their impacts on the Algerian territory. You should know that lots of Tuaregs were also used during those tests, during preparations of the nuclear tests, to build the facilities without really knowing what the purpose was. So there is indeed this background, a commitment. Yes. Another question about sovereignty, I believe. Do you know why the solar installations are not made by Algerian workers? That's a big question, which I often get. People ask at political level in Algeria. This system of solar installation is rather minor. In the movie, I wanted to present the speculation around solar energy because I was interested in this concept of second sun, and I thought there was almost a metaphysical link between fusion and atomic fusion, and the way the atomic energy of the bomb and the one coming from the sun that is then reused to create energy. To me, there was some sort of parallel between the energy exploitation, whether it destroys or creates. Sorry, I'm getting a bit confused, but that's what I was mainly interested in. However, you should know that the Chinese presence in Algeria mainly relates to construction. There was a huge demographical boom after the independence, which led to a scarcity in housing, and lots of contracts were made under Bouteflika with Chinese companies in order to build quickly at a low cost huge housing units in order to house people. So China and Algeria have had a trade and political relationship that has been very strong from the beginning. So that was mainly for economical reasons that Chinese workers were imported into Algeria. Thank you so much. Many people are highlighting the great work you did. So in the name of the room, I want to congratulate you for this short film. Thank you.